I've been to Peru many times, and I know you have too, South America, and working with plant medicine. And so this is the place where I have heard and witnessed and been with people who have said, I can finally feel myself. Like, oh, or for the first time in my life, I'm here, or I feel safe. Like, I also think there is something in the plant medicine world when it is done well and responsibly and held, that there is, that's the earth, the plants of the earth, Mother Earth, the womb of the earth, that she has something to offer to these deepest wounds, this deepest sense of disconnect and lack of safety. So, but I'm just curious, like what you have to say about that. And I know that you began going to South America and at least having some time with ayahuasca and Santi Diamond and maybe something else.
San Pedro.
I'm very aware of it, and I know that in some places it's being not used wisely. And and I also want to say to the listeners, I'm not recommending plant medicine without being very clear and responsible in your research beforehand. And I don't think that Jac would be either, but just to put that out there as a disclaimer. And then we can go ahead and share our experience.
And not to touch it if somebody is, on mood altering substances pharmaceutically, not to touch it if you have psychosis, a history of psychosis. So there's certain things like it's too complex. Like the medicine needs access to all these places, and very often our brain has other patterns that are not lined up with the plant medicine when we have meds going on or psychotic tendencies.
Yes.
For me, it was wonderful. It's like it forced open some windows in my brain that I never knew were windows. That never, they were stuck together with paints and coats of paint. That kind of feeling of like something was being prized open. I do remember during the journeys, maybe the first dozen journeys, of like, oh, what I understand what the world is about. I need to remember this when I come out of it. Everything is clear now. I can see how my mind works and how conditioning plays. I know what I've got to heal next. It's all so clear. And the following morning, I would be like, I know there was something I was supposed to remember. I know there was. And I could not remember. And I kept going back thinking, I need to bridge this gap between what I have access to with the support of medicine, and I need to bring that into who Jac is. And so I fumbled along thinking, all right, I'll do some detoxes. What can I do? I'll meditate. I'll continue with my psychotherapy. What do I need to do to make space so that the divine wisdom is not something that I have to go through plant medicine to access?
Yes.
And that kept bringing me back over and over and over again. Until one day it's like, oh my gosh, I can taste where the medicine takes me in regular life. And of course the gap, there was no gap then. Eventually I had to, lift myself up and do my own work. And I think, any practice, spiritual practice at all, in any tradition, that brings us into a state that's very different to how we are in our regular life, that's where to look. That's where, if your spiritual practice is entirely different to how you are, like on the meditation cushion, you're all peace and light and you're all calm and you're all smiles, and then you are like a possessed, crazy, angry person 4 hours later because the shit's hit the fan at work or at home or something. It's like, okay, which one is really you? Which one is really you? And that level of honesty is required. And for me, plant medicine made that very clear. Made that super clear. It's like your spiritual self and your physical self are not two. But right now they are. So do something about it, chicken. Do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Yeah.
having to go in there thinking, you know, I'm obviously a mess. I'm obviously so dense, and I'm good with that. And I need to get messy and do the work. Get
Yes.
messy and do the work, and
Mm.
keep going back. So clear me out, clear me out, clear me out, clear me out. And it deepened my surrender, you know?
Mm. Yes. Oh, that's great. It shows you where your work is and shows
Yes,
you where the gap is. And for
right.
me, it really showed those places of fear. You know,
Ah,
not only divine, but whoa, those places that we don't even allow ourselves to see. The fears that kind of steer us, you know, and keep us engaged in life in a certain way or not
yes,
engaged in life, like what is holding us back. You know, really
totally.
unpacking that and having it be so clearly put right in front of you.
Yes,
Yeah, and then the spiritual practice is following up on that. Like, okay, so how do you attend to that? That's meeting the humanness. That's meeting the psychic. It's meeting
that's
the
right.
psychology. It's meeting
Yes,
all of it. But I do know, like, it is a beautiful thing for some people where just like you might have a spiritual experience and it feels like it's kind of like a honeymoon phase,
yes,
you know, you
yes,
can have that with plant medicine too, where it's all nice and lovely. And it's
yes,
good to have a taste of that
yeah,
and however it
yeah,
comes about, you know, like
yes,
that's a grace, that's a gift. And then, okay, and it isn't lining up with how the rest of my life is looking and feeling, like you
yeah,
said. And how do we
yes,
integrate all of that? So integration then becomes the practice, a big piece.
yes.
Mm,
Like the whole human being.
yes.
What is that for each of us?
Mm,
Because it's only our own relationship with ourselves that can define what that is. And it's something that keeps being redefined because our humanness is a continuously evolving thing. There is no perfection with humanness. The perfection is in the inner stillness. That's the domain of perfection. And our humanness, its perfection is in the fact that it's evolving. And
mm,
so what is wholeness right now? Where do I have myself splintered off? Do I have, you know, myself compartmentalized? Can I be more honest and bring it in to being one unit?
mm,
Can I have good boundaries so that my roles are being played, continue to being played, and I'm not stuck to any of them, that they're roles? And who am I without any role?
mm,
Who is this raw human being? And can I totally unconditionally love that raw human being?
mm.
How's she
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
How's she doing? Do I meet her needs? Do I honor her? Or
Mm,
do I critically judge her and am I violent towards her? Am I self-abusive towards her
yeah.
or him? You know, but
Yeah. All the different parts that can seem to play out. So
that's right.
what I'm hearing there is kindness. No.
Yes, kind.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jack, are there any final words that you might want to say to the listeners? And is there
I,
anything?
yeah, I wonder. Have courage.
Mm,
Have courage, because we're speaking about a change in our culture on so many different levels of what is changing and how we are feeling into where it can go into a better model that has more equality and more holistic presence, where that's cultivated. And we need courage to step there.
mm,
We need
yeah.
courage.
Yeah.
Uh, And so for each of us to pray for courage if we don't have it, and
Mm,
to ignite and to feel courage and express it, and take a chance.
mm,
Take a chance.
mm,
Because it's through falling that we get up and learn. It's through screwing up. It's through the messiness. I love your word messy. It's through the messiness that
yes.
growth comes and that change happens.
Mm.